Welcome to layout update video number 4 for my first model train layout. It's February 2022. Winter is still upon us, so we've been spending a lot of time in the basement working on the trains. So in this update, I want to go over things I've been working on in the last month since the last update in January, and we'll start on this side of the layout. I think last month talked about some of the turnouts. Found the Fast Tracks turnouts that I used for curved and really all of the turnouts on the layout. So now that I have those, really just been filling in the track and putting in the rest of the track for the layout. So this line here on the inside is the diverging line for the main line that heads off past the coal mine and then makes a cross on the 290 diamonds there, and we'll eventually curve and turn and come over here to this side of the bench work. So I got that track in now, and I've been working on the industries on this side of the layout. The coal mine here, I wanted the perception, of course, of the mine being up in the mountains, but on a 4x8, there's only so much room you can work with and so much grade you can work with. So I decided to put that on up on a 1-inch piece of foam using one of the Woodland Scenics transition pieces. This is a 4% grade. It comes up 1 inch over 2 feet. So kind of steep, but it's a short run. I think it'll be interesting. Should make operations pretty interesting as well. So the coal mine's going to sit up here. It's one of the last pieces of the track plan that I haven't transferred to the layout. And then I'm also going to build up kind of a mountainside or rolling hillside over here with some foam pieces, really to give the impression of being in a more mountainous terrain, even though the majority of the track plan is going to be flat. Also been working on the track over here. This is going to be the lumber yard on this industry in the foreground. And in the background, where we got a couple boxcars, we're going to have a brewery. And then over here on this part of the layout, also been busy putting the roadbed down for the grain elevator. Grain elevator is 3-track system. I do enjoy unit grain trains with covered hoppers, so I wanted to have plenty of room for a larger grain elevator operation. And then this industry right here, I think, is going to be a tank car loading platform. Enjoy running some tank cars as well. So I got these switches set. They're in place. They're trimmed to fit some of these fast track turnouts. I got to trim in order to fit them in a tight proximity. So on this end, just trimmed off some of the rails to make it shorter so we could connect it to that turnout quicker. And then up here as well, trimmed off these rails. Normally they extend for several inches from the last PCV tie, but here I just trimmed it off right up the end so we can go straight into this turn for one of these grain elevator storage tracks. They're very easy to trim, as is all track really, if you have a nice pair of the Xeron cutters. And yeah, I'll have to come back and trim this a little bit as well. I positioned it so that the throw bar will not impede the outside track, but we will have to trim the protection there. So, speaking of throw bars, turnout control is another thing I wanted to update. So I've got ground throws in. It's just the Caboose Hobbies spring-loaded ground throws for most of the turnouts on the track. I think at this stage, where I've got a whole layout in front of me and a lot of construction to do, I decided to go with ground throws. They're quick, they're easy, they're effective. They may not be prototypical for a main line where you would have automated switches, but I think they're a nice place to start and help us, get the switches controlled to some extent without the expense or the time needed to do powered switches. The one exception I'm going to make is that curved turnout back there. That one's going to be electronically controlled. It's not easy to reach for a ground throw. And then this one, for this crossover in here, because it's tight on both sides, I'm going to try one of these Blue Point switch machines, which I have not installed yet, but I'm just trying one there to see how I like it. If it works out well, maybe I'll eventually do that for some of these interior switches instead of using them on ground throws, but ground throws are what we're going to go with to start. Other than that, I've been working on some track weathering. You can see a little bit of the track painting going on back there. It's going to be a pretty painstakingly slow process, I think, but that's okay. We don't need to get it done quickly. But I did do up a sample here in the foreground so you can kind of see the difference between what the finished product will look like and what the, I guess I'll call the stock, looks like for Atlas Code 83 Flex Track. So put some good texture and color on the ties, and then of course obviously darkened the rails on the sides, which brass or that nickel silver, brass, not actually sure. I think maybe nickel silver. Obviously needs weathering on the side. So the process here is pretty straightforward. I watched a video from NS Modeler 24 and how he weathers his track. I don't have a airbrush and didn't intend to airbrush all of this track, so I'm actually hand painting mine. So the method he did was to paint the ties a gray color with a matte acrylic paint, which you can see back here where I've painted just the ties. Seems counterintuitive to lighten the ties at first, but it does, as you can see in the sample, it does look good. And then after that, I'm painting the sides of the rails and the tie plates in this burnt sienna matte acrylic as well. And I got both of these at Hobby Lobby for $2 a piece, $3 a piece. I mean, very cheap, very easy, just kind of slow. So the sides of the rails themselves and the tie plates get that burnt sienna color, and then to really get that color that's accurate, brushed on some grimy black powders with just a wide brush. So once that's done, it really takes the white ties from that color to a more appropriate textured color there. And then once that's complete, just to spray with dull coat to hold everything together. So that's my plan for track weathering. Started to work on it, but then really wanted to get the rest of the track put in. So that's kind of been my focus now. And for the next month, I think, I want to get the rest of the coal mine put in and the rest of the grain elevator track put in. I've got structures on the way for the train station, the coal mine, the lumber yard. So looking forward to getting those and maybe spending some time building some structures to give the layout some more personality. The beer tonight, some rainbow sorbet. Never get that right. From Prairie Artisan Ales. They're out of Oklahoma. This is a sour ale. It's very tasty. Quite a departure from last month's Fresh Hop IPA, but nevertheless full flavor, nice fruited beer there. Really enjoy that. So that's it for layout update number 4. We'll see you next time for number 5.